Good morning. You and I, well, we are living in a nation which has been controlled and influenced to a very large extent by the rules of Judaism. And we may not realize how great this influence is upon our lives. If you go into some older parish churches, you will find on the wall near the Torah a table called the Table of Affinity. And it shows us quite simply who we can marry and who we cannot marry. These are part of our laws here in this society. You can find the source of these laws in Leviticus. Moses was so anxious to keep the family strong. He realized that the foundation of the nation was in fact the family life. And he wants to be sure that in order that the future generation should be healthy and strong, that he has to create a distance between those who are marrying. Now, he did not understand anything about genetics, but somehow God had shown him that this was important. And so he lays down strict instructions that men should not be allowed to marry their sisters. Women should not be allowed to marry their brothers. In fact, the relationships are not just within the immediate family, that they were in the larger context of the family as well. And it shows who people should have sexual relationships with. You'll find those tables of affinity in our churches. They are part of our society. But the amazing thing is that in our present society, with the breakdown in our marriages, with the breakdown of family life, everything seems to be out to be challenged, and everything somehow is becoming possible. What Moses said to the people all those years ago applies to us as much today as it applied to them. And if we decide not to keep these rules, or to throw out these rules, or disregard these rules, then in fact, we will in fact create a weakness within our society, which will cause our health to deteriorate. And we will not be producing in the next generation the men and women who will be healthy and strong and able to find their way through life. In the paganism that Moses had known about, not only was incest very often accepted, but very often men and women would indulge in sexual acts even with animals. So Moses, now speaking to the people, outlaws this, and he says this must not happen under any circumstance. Now, we might be horrified by it, but the trouble is that in our present age, at our present time, with the collapse of family life, and with all rules being re-examined, what we find is that this particular pagan practice is beginning to emerge once again. And we have to be very careful that we don't allow it to become part of our experience. Moses sets down these rules for family life in order to keep them healthy, in order that the next generation should be healthy and strong. He set down these rules 3,500 years ago. Since that time, we have found that society has waned one way or another. It has changed its principles. It has changed what it wanted. But somehow it has recognized that even though Moses, did not understand it, the rules he sets down are important if we are to remain healthy and strong. We must pray for our families even at the present day. I know that in a sense, we are now able to develop marriages, break marriages, create new relationships. I've heard just lately about groups coming together, large groups wanting to marry one with another, not just 2 people, but 3, 4, and 5 people into relationships, and to seal these relationships into a legal agreement. We have to be so careful as we do this, because if we do, what we'll find is that the warning put out through Moses to the people all those years ago will be shown to be so true. And the society we create, and the families we create, and the children we bear will in fact be weakened if we don't accept them and do something about it. Yes, he sets out rules for everything, even down to the most intimate details. He says, for instance, that men should not have sex with women during their menstrual periods. They should be given this time off, not just to go through the period, but to recover after it, so that they got a time of rest from sexual relationships. Whereas men, if they have nocturnal emissions, must wash themselves and cleanse themselves and be sure that they kept healthy in this way. He goes into the minutiae. He goes into the smallest details. He says this is what should happen, this is what should not happen, if you want to remain healthy and if you want to remain strong. We do well to listen to what he says. Amen.